Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. I'm up here in Georgia. Mrs. Steve's in Florida with the grandkids, but I'm glad to be with y'all tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. As you watch this video, if you have any questions or comments, just throw them in chat. I'll try to get to them as good as I can. But tonight we're looking at a very strange case out of Oklahoma and Kansas. As we get into it, like I say, be respectful of the mods, families, and each other. And one thing that if you're absolutely new to this channel, is that we don't go into a lot of names or persons of interest until law enforcement starts bringing those names forth. And so if you have any of that, even the initials, let's stay out of it right now until we have some more knowledge and better understanding of this case, because this is an extremely strange case. And I will have a question for our audience that you'll see that arises during this presentation, that law enforcement is asking themselves for the fact that they have far more information than we do on the case. But there's a question that absolutely nags me, and maybe y'all will be able to assist me in that. But anyway, if you have any information as far as any information regarding either Veronica Butler or Jillian Kelly, absolutely make sure that law enforcement has that information. There's a contact number here for the tips at the Oklahoma, and also the phone number 1-800-522-8017 for the fact that when we look at it, of course, there's a lot of things going on out there as far as rumors and domestics and family issues and things. But when we look at the totality of where the investigation should be and is probably by law enforcement standards, there's a question that arises. How do you get two women that's together traveling and get them to stop? They didn't make it to their destination. It was put out there that they went missing and never arrived at their destination. What basis is law enforcement putting that upon? Is that geofencing? Is that their cell phone services, cells? And we'll be looking at all this. But I want all the ladies out there and to think about what would, how could, and why would you stop if you're on the way to pick up your children to come back for a birthday party? And we only have, as you'll see, we're looking at a time frame of travel of about an hour. So would they have stopped for fuel? Was there some type of issue? Is there a police impersonator? But what would make you stop on the way to pick up your child? And because they're going to have all the communications between the two passengers as they plan this trip. They'll have that, the text messages, the phone calls, communication with other family members, the coordination of picking up the child, where, when, how, and of all this. And it's absolutely just strange to me because when I look at Mrs. Steve or Baby Steve and think about all their technologies they have and of their suspicious nature, especially as female traveling, what would get you to stop on the way? And I'm really interested in getting the females' viewpoints on that. All right. But of course, I don't know, I'll probably mispronounce this, Hugoton Kansas, where the car was found in Oklahoma. When I was looking up doing the research, like I said, the Texas County, Oklahoma, of where the vehicle was found is out there on the Panhandle, and it's just, you talking about a remote area. I went in, looked at Google Earth, the distances of between, and the isolation of the part of the state of where they're missing is just absolutely amazing. Of when you travel out west and the isolation that you can be in, and between these small towns. This county, Stevens County, I think I read it was the second largest county in the state as far as landmass, and population is only like 30 something thousand. So you're not dealing with a lot of people out there. But anyway, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said Sunday, now this was in the last Sunday of March, that they were asked by another local law enforcement agency in the area to investigate a suspicious disappearance. The agency said that when they found the vehicle and they searched that abandoned car, there was evidence to indicate foul play. And there's a lot of different types of foul play. Is it some type of tampering with the vehicle? Is it some type of body fluids, blood evidence, any type of restraints? There's a lot of different kinds, and I'm sure there's maybe information out there. I didn't find it of what the truly definition of what was found in the vehicle that was indicates foul play, but it will be interesting. I know there's some other things that were found that lead you to, is it related or not? And then, but they are searching for these who are on the way to pick up the children and take them to a birthday party. And that's the thing, is what would make you stop and check on someone? And of course, both of these ladies are with their faith, or workers within their church and have a deep church relationship. And was it something from their good nature that possibly made them wish to stop or help or assist, or what it was? I have no idea. But before we get too far, let me get into chat and see what's going on. All right. Anna says the disappearance was reported to be close or on Navajo land. There were lots of questions in chat about jurisdictions, tribal police, or other law enforcement, for instance. I pulled a couple slides for this, so I'm prepped for this at the end, showing the different tribal lands. And while most of Oklahoma has some degree of presence of tribes that's scattered across the state, I'll show you those slides and maybe it'll be a little bit better understanding. All right. Olivia 2. Sensei Wackadoodle, good to see you. BGOG. Marion Tate, good to see you. Barbara Hall, good to see you. Witchcraft. Brenda Scott. Scott says, I have thoughts. Absolutely throw those thoughts out there. Because like I said, this is extremely confusing me in law enforcement. If this was my case and we were sitting around the table, and like I said, they would have looked at, or, they're compiling all the communications, looking at, tracking, seeing where those phones ping, or if there's any type of ability to track that vehicle, where would it ping, at what times, and they'll have a great understanding of that, of who all was in areas at certain times when it pinged, because we're talking about such a small population that the information gathered from those pings is not going to be like you get outside a major metropolitan area. You're only talking about a few hundred probably pings on some of these towers per day. So it will be, as far as different phones, I'm sure there'll be thousands of pings due just to constantly readdressing the towers. Mara said, "Hi, True Crime Web. Glad you're covering this case. Most of the news covers is incorrect, not reporting obvious problems, issues going on, and why they're missing, forever gone." And like I said, it makes no sense in this time. And like I said, when we look at um, uh, the road and how isolated it is, um, from where the vehicle is, as you'll see in one of the slides, there's a cell tower. Um, I think it's just over a half a mile away. Drunk Turkey, good to see you. Glad you're here. All right. Let's see. Jocelyn's here. Let's see. Witchcraft. Excellent. Try to get caught up. And this is something that you see that a lot of the older offenders back in the day, that some of the serial offenders would disable cars. We had it with the Zodiac, and one at least one instance of where the person that was kidnapped was due to him loosening some lug nuts, and I think even um, several other offenders would disable vehicles, and so that they could assist, be the knight in shining armor to come to the assistance of a female in a broken down vehicle to some type of ruse. And so that is a great possibility of that something was done to the car. Yes, you just don't. And that's the thing, is that when we look at the isolation of this, where the vehicle is abandoned, how do of course, the victims are gone also. And if you're there with the vehicle at those last moments, um, uh, because there's only one or two things, is, well, there's probably several more, but either were the foul play on the vehicle, whatever type of evidence that is that was a vehicle following them, where the vehicle was parked, is that the abduction point and they're transferred elsewhere? Or was there a crime committed somewhere else and the vehicle abandoned there after whatever evil deeds were done, and the vehicle was transported away from where there's another crime scene of where um, the abductions or other events occurred, and so they drove the vehicle to stage it, to get separation from where the crime scene was. So there's a couple of different scenarios that we can look at, and hopefully law enforcement has a better understanding. But one of the two is more than likely. I mean, extremely likely um, that it happened that way, and it takes multiple persons on either one of those circumstances, unless the offender is within just a mile or two of where that vehicle is. Now, there's not a lot of residences. I looked at all the structures within a few miles of where the vehicle was abandoned or was found abandoned. And so we have to look at that. And um, I worked a triple homicide one time of where the offenders committed the offense and then took the vehicle from the residence, drove it about a mile away, abandoned it in another county, and then walked back to the residence, which was just a few houses down from where the victims were. And so law enforcement will look at that. And if with what information and data they have, they'll be able to bring a little bit more clarity to that. Shelly, good to see you. Love to Hunt is here. And this is possible. And is that the signs of foul play? I have no idea. All right, let's get into a little bit more. But there was that information that they were going to Eva, Oklahoma, to pick up the kids and then transport them back for the party. When I looked up how long of the drive it was, it depends, of course, upon traffic, but 48 to 59 minutes, so it's not a really long drive. And so the window of opportunity for you to just a chance encounter um, would be, you know, uh, very low for the fact that, you're close to home. You're only making a short trip, and vehicle trouble is something that wouldn't be on your radar. So, was this something that was pre-planned, and was the vehicle staged or prepped to break down? Don't know. All interesting, great questions. Okay. Um, just got to notice that Dylan Rounds was recovered. We'll look at that case too eventually in the next day or two. All right. That's sad for the families and everything that anytime you have a recovered victim, that while it does bring closure to the family, it still is absolutely heartbreaking for them. All right. But yeah, the travel time on this is not that long. And then we get into the area of where the vehicle was reported missing. Uh, and it's extremely, like I said, I've got some pictures of this in every direction that when you look out there, you're just looking, there's a lot of flat land in this country, as I've witnessed more in the last year and a half than I ever realized as I've traveled through the Midwest and even all the way out to Idaho, that, you can get out there to some of these areas and the isolation, and I mean, you can see forever, but there's nothing to see between the white lines and the yellow lines of the road and 30 miles. And some of this area is very similar to that. Yeah, I saw that where Veronica was the only person in her graduating class from high school. Um, Remarkable. Witchcraft said maybe another car was broke down and it was a lady, but had someone hidden in the car and they got out and grabbed the two women. Absolutely possible. Like I said, um, y'all would have a better understanding of this. But if you're creating a ruse such as a broken down vehicle, um, you run the risk that it's not going to be two women that stop. It may be a man or it may be two men. So you have to have the ability to control that whoever stops to assist you, or your ruse is set up that, oh, I got the car running, thank you. And you go on. But yeah, it's extremely possible, but you have to be prepared that it won't be the ideal victim that you're searching for. And um, from every time that you do not act, say that this is the ruse, that you have a female broke down, that um, you let someone pass through and they're just a witness, or they call 911 because you don't know what's happening. But it's extremely possible that it could be that. And but with the ladies, how much at risk would they put themselves? Leanna Forsberg. But it's a good point. Yeah, you never know when you're stopping for vehicles. I've been on patrol and stopped vehicles and go up there thinking there's only one and find out that there's two or three. There's a couple hiding in the back floorboard or something. So it is easy to hide people in a car. Leon says, hello, everyone. I've been wondering what's going on in this case. Thanks, Steve. Absolutely. Mother says there was blood on where the car was stopped. It has been covered not by OLE with key litter. Stains were shown to a searcher who videoed it and was a witness. Um, and yes, well, what are those stains? And uh, more than likely it is, but um, but who would cover it with kitty litter? Um, Absolutely strange. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Yes, good point here. Also, they could be tricked into a secondary location somehow. I would think very possible. Um, I'm not 100% convinced these two were ever in the car. Um, well, law enforcement will be able to establish that from their cell phone services, communications, and um, that if they were, and through the geofencing and the cell pings, um, and if they weren't in the car and they left, um, you see, I differ with the opinion that if we were looking from their hometown, and they said, that Oklahoma is doing an investigation, and they have evidence that says no, they were never in the car, and they never made it to Oklahoma. They never crossed that state line. Oklahoma would absolutely turn it back over to Kansas and say this is your case. So there has to be something indicating, as far as from the law enforcement perspective, that Oklahoma is saying, yes, this is our case, and we're working it, and we have these missing persons. They have to have some type of information. Now, this is my opinion of it, of course, and I could be dead wrong, and Al could be absolutely 100% correct. But in my way of thinking, is that Oklahoma has evidence that they made it to inside the state of Oklahoma. Um, it's the same. We're here in Georgia, that wherever um, the victim body is found, until you can prove otherwise, that's your body. It's not their hometown. It's yours. It's your investigation. You're the one that, until you can prove that victim met foul play somewhere else, it's your case. And they would look into that with this car. They would look at it and see and say, what can we, is this really our case? And if it's not, they're going to boot it out to whoever last known location. And this is something they could be someone they knew was alongside the road, or they planned to meet someone on the way. And once again, the communications that if they did plan someone to meet someone, um, you know, everybody has our uh, your messaging, either your text messaging, phone calls, messages, answering machines, emails. Um, and, we live in a world of communications that we communicate with how many people daily. Um, we probably communicate with more people outside our family now than any time in history, with our friends and our orbit of people that we know. And I would expect that would be the same for these two ladies, that they communicated with a lot of people, and they shared a lot of information throughout the day with a lot of people. Um, I could be wrong. Once again, I'm speculating there, but knowing um, uh, my limited of what Mrs. Steve and baby Steve and my family does on a daily basis, and how many text messages and emails I get a day. Um, you know, although I am in the web sleuth world, and my numbers have went up quite a bit since before that, but still, even prior to the YouTube uh, um, channel, I still dealt with a lot of people on a daily basis. And but there would be for you, there would have to be some type of planning to meet anybody to pick up on the way. And I wonder if somebody was sitting in the middle of the road or standing around. Absolutely possible. Once again, but and could they, um, but law enforcement would look at when those when that pinging stopped, and was there a time during those travels? Because, like I said, the window of opportunity of that, if they knew when they left home, and what time did they get, as they was traveling through, and they went from cell tower to cell tower, because they would be able to say and look at and say, well, this is the route from point A to point B. And at what time did those phones ping as they traveled? And did it take longer than expected to get from one tower? Say there is a zone where there's no communications, but we know what the average drive time, average speed is. And was there a time that it took longer than required? Because that would be clues that law enforcement would look at. Let's see here. Yes, when you now this is when I did a close up. There's a cell tower that's just over a half mile away. That's due north of where the vehicle intersection that they described was located. 1.5, just over 1.5 miles south of the location. There was a facility that had multiple buildings and vehicles parked at when I took this picture of it. And then due east of it, 0.8 of a mile, was looked like some type of fuel or oil refinery. And then 2.25 miles west, there was some type of, I don't know if it's livestock, chicken farm, or whatever it is, but there appeared to be some other type of large facility over there that they were looking at. But Mrs. Steve said, Barbara Hall, if y'all don't know who Barbara Hall is, she is the mother of Timmy Dees that's been fighting for justice for quite a bit. And Mrs. Steve said that she sent me a message, and I think Timmy Dees' birthday is tomorrow, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. If y'all don't know that case, absolutely go look it up. Out on the prowl. Hey, Steve, when do homicide detectives get involved in a case like this? I know there has to be evidence of a crime. Do you think they're involved now? Absolutely. When you have such a case that is so high profile, out of the ordinary, and that's outside of what the normal activities of these ladies, they're part of church, and they have a large following of people and friends and churchgoers that absolutely will say, "Hey, this is our character." They don't act this way, and law enforcement would take notice of that, and they have taken notice of it, but they're not sharing a lot of information with us, and it's very confusing because, like I said, they're going to be looking at their financials. They're going to do a victimology of both these ladies. What had changed? Is there someone within their own orbit that is the cause of them going missing? It may be due to the child custody issue. It may not be. It may be a totally different direction. And they'll go through and they'll look up what has changed in the relationships, what their habits were daily. Because all of us, we all have habits that we do week in and week out. We have days that we go shopping. We have days that we attend church. We have days whereas we work, and we have timelines. And so they're going to build those timelines, and they're going to understand exactly what the movements were, and understand that plans were made to go pick up these children from this party, and what other plans were changed to allow for this pickup to occur. And so there's a lot of things, and you don't want the new investigators on cases like this. You want those seasoned, well thought out, well trained, analytical minds looking at it, so that they'll look at this and say, this is odd. This is something that stands out. This is something that we have to check out. Yes, there's going to be child custody, but they'll get that sorted out. And through the courts at some point. And is this a part of it? Is this what's led to it? There's a lot of things out there we just don't know yet. Could be, absolutely could be 100%. Great question, great point here. Two women traveling through a desolate area, will they be carrying a weapon between them? I can tell you if the females that I'm acquainted with, yes. As far as them, that'll be something that they'll understand through the victimology. Law enforcement will ask that. They'll have their phones. I expect that at least one of these women had a phone, if not both, and they'll be looking into their normal habits with that phone and understand it. Barbara, I do not know if it was run off the road or not, but that is a possibility of could be some of the foul play. My understanding is that the children, they never reached that destination to pick up the children. So they, I guess if it is a stranger abduction, that is something that is that has a better outcome than if it was opposite, that if the children were picked up and then such a crime by a someone that is truly some type of serial offender or had some type of grudge against one of these ladies, that on the better side of what could have happened if the children were there. And of course, this is the best outcome that could have happened. Pull it up there. Gifted one true Crime Web membership. Thank you. Appreciate that, Brenda. Yes, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate that. Oh, okay. Leanna Forsberg, you got the gift. Excellent. Yeah, just leaving the car there doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is a cell tower that is just located just over half a mile, 0.64 tenths. And but was this, so there's cell phone service there. If this is a type of tower that is, and then just about a mile and a half south of where it was, we have this type of facility here. I don't know what's in all these buildings, but it appears to be that there's a lot of people there. Now, do they have camera systems in some of these areas? Of course, law enforcement is going to follow up on that, and they will check and see. Laggy aims, an obviously battered, desperate person flagging me down and running in front of a car. Some people would stop, but some people wouldn't. We had, even with the Richard Allen case, there was a lady that said she saw an individual that was, there's been, of course, controversy over that, but muddy. And then, of course, was the bloody in there or not, but saw the muddy part and that they looked like they'd been in a fight. And would they stop or would they call 911? Just don't know. Yes, Sirius Black. Mrs. Steve sent that to me just a short time ago. Sad situation. SP74, good to see you. And this is something that's interesting also. Jillian's approved court supervision for custody visit. Veronica can only have supervised visitation, although the kid's father is a felon with current domestic violence charges. And this is interesting. And what part did this play in it? It could be. And maybe we just don't know yet. Yes, Mrs. Steve told us, advised me just a short time ago, but yes, that is truly a, it's in one way, it's great. It is a blessing for the family, but in another way, you know, now we have to go forth, and the family has got to deal with a lot of issues and a lot of closure, or as much closure as they can now. And it's just a sad situation, no matter how you look at it. What the back? Good to see you. Bible group. Good to see you. Been a while. I'm glad you're with us and everything. I was wondering about you. All right. Okay. Let's get back into. But when you sit there at the highway of where they L Road, and I think it's 95. That when you're if you go to Google Earth and you put your little uh, recon man there in the middle of the intersection, if you look north, this is what you see. If you look west, this is what you see. You look south. I mean, it's you know Oklahoma 95 is a lonely road. When you view east, on the skyline of these, you can on east and west, you can just barely see the tops of buildings, and it's one direction it's 2 miles, the other direction is 8/10 of a mile. East, I think it's around um, 8/10 of a mile, and when you view west, if you blew that up, I think it's a little over 2 miles before the first buildings. Extremely isolated areas throughout there. Now, here are there's two different maps I pulled up for the tribal lands. And this is color coded. And so that when you look at it, you'll see that um, on the eastern part of it, there's probably over half the state that is color coded. Where the whole state's color coded with different tribal, but some of them, when this other one, this is the jurisdictions in Oklahoma. And so there's a little bit of difference between these two maps. Uh, each of these, when you blow it up and look at it, it has each of the tribal councils and jurisdictions inside those color codes. And then you have the white section. But on the other map, it has it whereas there must be a presence of certain tribes within there, but they may not have jurisdiction. And I don't know what that means, but there is a difference, and there's um, um, like I said, I don't truly understand why we got two maps. Um, is it just the way our government works sometimes? Probably so. But yes, there are jurisdictions within the state in Oklahoma. In this one, it doesn't show anything for Texas County, whereas in this one, it's color coded, and I think it's um, I can't see which one. Let me pull that up, make it a little bit bigger so I can read that. Um, of those blue type uh, different nations, um, I don't even know which way you would. Got some no man's land. It depends what color shade blue that is. And that's the closest because the other nation is well to the east. So it says no man's land. I think is the closest color to that. So what does that mean? I don't know. That's a strange thing to be called no man's land. Let's see. Let me get back up here. Yeah, on the tribal jurisdiction, the state line. Let's see. Well, I jumped a lot. Okay, there we go. Got in there now. All right. But let's see. Get caught up in chat now. Yes, I'm sure it is. It's got to be some type of relief that you can at least put him to rest and have a place to go and visit, um, and it's got to play some part of their abilities to come to a closure with this. I mean, it's a terrible event. You got a young child that meets up with a absolutely true evil and never expected that to happen to a young man that just wanted to be a farmer. What is it that you do when you're traveling, Steve? Working? Yes, I work cold cases when I travel. Steve, Bible Group says, Steve, I would get the Native American trackers involved, not just for their skills, but to put the reservation on notice if someone from there is involved. And this is a good point. I was one of our cases that we were looking at possibly bringing in was dog handlers out of Oklahoma. Now, they were not in the panhandle of Oklahoma. I think they were from some of the tribal lands on the eastern side of Oklahoma, but they were full time canine cadaver dogs, and that's all they did. And uh, I was looking at one of the cases, and I'll use them in the future if I needed them, but that's all they do. You have some dog handlers that are part time, but the tribal lands, at least with the team that I spoke to out of Oklahoma, they're full time. That's all they do, and they'll travel the country. You just got to pay for their travel and room and board. And Barbara can explain it so much better than any one of us because she's been through this of what Dylan Brown's family is going through right now. She went through this of when they found her son, and absolutely our thoughts go out for her. That it's a bittersweet time, heartbreaking at the same time when they're found. Well said. Anna says, how is the cell phone coverage where the women disappeared? Lots of dead zones in rural areas, good coverage, women are safer to call 911 to assist someone in trouble. And like I said, when I went in and did the research and pulled it up, that this area, this cell tower here is only, you know, just over a half a mile north of where their vehicle was found. Did this help lead to the discovery of the vehicle? Possible. Yeah. Al says, I haven't seen a lot of searching going on around where the vehicle was found. And, you know, you could probably fly a drone or a helicopter or a plane and uh, cover a lot of territory quick. Um, and and that may be what they did. Mustang 65. Hello, good to see you. Yes, tomorrow is Timmy's birthday. I don't know the full disclosure of what the supervised, and I know Molly said earlier that the mother had to have supervised visits, and that's how come her friend. Junior Johnson, good to see you. Let's see here. Here's where the state line is. Like I said, if you they were only, if you divide this up 45 minutes, that they're probably 15 minutes into the state of Oklahoma from their home. That they were, you know, almost to where they were going to Eva, Oklahoma, and so they were almost full travel time involved, and so they only had a few minutes left of that travel time of where their car was found. So you can see where the state line is there, where it crooks straight south. Let's see here. What's going on in the chat? I'm just wondering if the grandmother had something to do with it. Law enforcement, absolutely. They're going to look at everybody in this type of situation and have a, you know, there's communications that would go on. And as far as victimology, they would speak to the grandmother of both sides, of the father and the mother, everyone involved. And then they would also speak to exes, current and former, anyone, everyone. I'm talking about Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, the two missing women in Oklahoma currently. Unfortunately, I had just started the show when, or not unfortunately, I'm glad I'm doing the show, but also we had the other breaking news about Dylan Rounds being found. And this is, like I said, the women out there would know this better than the men, that for women to stop for a person of trouble, I think the person would need to be alone and look harmless. And I agree. Let's see here. Just checking through chat, see if anything's going on. I wonder if someone had a gun on them that made them go with them. Yes, you would think that regardless of where the abduction or contact was first made by whoever it was, but how do you get these women to stop out in the middle of nowhere? And that's the $1 million question to me. And that law enforcement has said that they didn't make it to the pickup location. And so we had to have that. There had to be someone somewhere that either impersonated a law enforcement officer or, and like I said, I've looked up everything from serial offenders, unsolved cases, to reports of police impersonators in this area from, I think it's Stevens County, Morton County, and Texas County. And I didn't see any reports, recent reports of any of those activities. Yes, CJK. Yeah, we've heard that's terrible, sad news. Absolutely. Oh, let me hide that. But as Barbara Hall said, it's a bittersweet moment for the family. And Joan says, ex-FBI Jennifer says speculation. She heard it's a bloody hammer, but to move someone after that need more than one person. Not only that, but to move the vehicle. Where did the crime occur? You know, to control, if the abduction point is where the vehicle is, to control those two ladies and move them away, you could do it in that matter by yourself. But if the crime scene was elsewhere and you transported the vehicle there, you would more than likely need assistance. Let's see here. And I doubt this is a crime committed by a stranger. Um, you, yeah, I would tend, because how many strangers are in that part of the country? Um, and it could be, like I said, law enforcement is going to be doing that victimology, and a lot of answers are going to come from that. If these ladies would no way, shape, form, or fashion ever stop for a stranger, then they didn't stop for a stranger. Um, so the victimology is going to reveal a lot. Sensei Wackadoodle, flexing the membership of a great channel. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Yes, you're not off. That's Dylan Rounds remains. Yes, absolutely. Um, I'm going to use the words of Barbara Hall, who said it great, that it's bittersweet. I'll take it from the person that knows. Just trying to catch up in chat, see what's going on. Miss Cyrene, good to see you. Anna says, True Crime Web, tell the viewers again how many miles you traveled you have covered in a year researching these cases and helping families. Last year I traveled, as I found new areas across the United States. I went about 20,000 miles in my first year working cold cases for the families with the foundation. And through the YouTube channel, which is different than the foundation. If you go back a couple of videos, you'll see where I described the two. But um, last year was right at 20,000 miles through the Midwest and all the way out to Idaho. This year, first month that we traveled was last month in March. And during the month of March, I traveled 6,300 miles. And about to get on the road again. Sometime in the next 4 to 8 weeks, I'll be back on the road again. And I couldn't do it without the people that support this channel, and without the people that support the foundation. Absolutely. I'm so, I'm in awe of the generosity and the support that this channel has. And when you talk to these families, and I want everyone to realize that these families absolutely do appreciate what y'all do, and y'all support, and allowing us to go out there and help these families. So I want to thank y'all. So this year, as far as how many miles I'll go, um, I, I'll probably go 30 to 40 this year. Yes, we got it. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment. Ah, yeah, a new member. Want the Beck became a YouTube member. Thank you for your support. Yeah, Chris and I did a lot of coverage on the Dealers Rounds case, and we talked about Brenner. Absolutely, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer when you look at him, and absolutely a hothead that jumped and did something that was not necessary. There's no excuse for what he did. Brenda said that you went to the Weber County and tried to talk to him. He says, "You don't know me," and hung up on me. He's a charmer. Do you think they were taken in a hurry given their phones were left behind? Um, I don't know all the information and details of where the phones were left. Law enforcement would have all that, but like I said, I don't have those details. If you send me that link, I'll put it into our next show. I don't know. My color coded map as far as the Indian reservations and things is that's no man's land up there. So yeah, I'm tending to believe that regardless of what the motive was, because there's several motives that could be. It could be everything from the family issues to a stranger, abduction. But I would tend to believe that there's some type of ruse to get the ladies to stop. Uh, we got Veronica, let's see, Bailey, Butler, I'm sorry, and Jillian Kelly. I tried to combine Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly are the two missing ladies. Yeah, I looked and researched, and I couldn't find where there's any reports that's on on the internet about suspicious activities, impersonators, or things of that nature. And you may very well be right. Thank you, Miranda. Very nice of you. Hello, Bama Sin. Good to see you. Izzy, I'm new to your channel. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Nanar. Yes, and the grandmother not reporting it. Yes, that would be that if there was a planned pickup, and but we don't know what the history of was this something that um, she did routinely? Maybe not. That things would come up. Don't know, and that would be figured out with the victimologies. I have no idea how they come about the Navajo lands. Um, and like I said, I looked at those two maps and uh, no man's land. Yes, I like I said, Mrs. Steve, last year when we figured up our numbers, it was only 20,000 last year, but we should just about double that this year. Almost did a third of my travels in 1 month this year than what I did all of last year. Still recovering. Oh, that's the reverse. Yeah, I'm honored for you to be a part of this channel. We absolutely, like I said, we couldn't do it without everyone's support. Marcia Dole. There's a lady called Rock Chalk who is doing her own search for the missing lady. She is videotaping her findings live. It's very sketchy down there. She's informative. Thank you for the information. Absolutely. Anyone out there that's boots on the ground, absolutely watch them, support them, because they're trying to do something to bring awareness to the case. And that's something you have to admire from all our YouTube channels. No matter what part they play, if they're bringing awareness to the case, absolutely hats off to them. There's a body was found in a well a few days ago across the border in Kansas. Oh, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't from the articles and the news releases looked at from law enforcement, I haven't seen that mentioned. Mr. Beer, hey everyone, I agree. Some type of setup to get them to stop. Yeah, like I said, regardless, if the lady, if we look at Jillian's background, and she is a supervisor who what goes to these domestic violence things, she would be aware of the possibility of that there could be some type of issue, and so she would be of a higher on alert scale than the normal person as far as a supervisor. I've been through, Sammy Day says, I've been through the Panhandle several times. I suppose it's a desolation that makes one a bit uneasy, but there's something about how wide open it is and how exposed you feel. I I would say that that says it all right there, guys. I I mean, I just don't see, if you rush to break down the side of the road out there, I mean, it's a long hike. I just cannot. And I've traveled through some of the country out there, but I can't remember in my travels last year of seeing anything quite this desolate. Maybe the ladies were abducted, and the abductors are smart enough to make sure electronics were left behind. I would tend to agree with that. Absolutely. Bama saying I barely put 10,000 miles on the vehicle per year. Not I. Miss Irene says a lot of natural gas pipelines run across that area. Landowners really watch the area. Uh, let's see here. Yes, I'd take someone that I don't know if I've been. I can't ever remember going through the panhandle of Oklahoma, and I don't really, uh, want to do that now because, like I said, you have vehicle trouble out there. Um, it's you versus the elements. Um, Shelley says, why would a judge choose a spot for a meeting like that? I don't think this spot where the vehicle was found is the meeting spot. I think it was supposed to be an area that there was a pickup area where it's not just this isolated spot. All righty, guys. Mr. Beer says, background on the peeps surrounding the ladies. I've heard some speculation too. I don't want to repeat. And that's the thing about speculation and rumors. At some point, a lot of times it turns into that if you say it enough, then it's to be believed enough. And that's not really what we want to do. All righty, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Absolutely, everybody, thoughts and prayers be with the Dylan Rounds family. Barbara Hall's family, and also with the families of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly. That all our thoughts, and if anyone has any information, make sure that law enforcement has that. And we appreciate everybody being here tonight. And but Y'all stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all in a couple of days, guys. All right. Bye-bye.